the endless pop culture references.
Again, I just think slang. I don't have any like positive or negative connotations with it.
The rap music.
The first thing that comes to mind when I hear about Ebonics is one time I watched a Vine and it was a guy saying how to pronounce things in Ebonics.
First thing that comes to my mind is slang.
Joy, family, familiarity, legitimacy, vibrancy, innovation. Ebonics is recognized as African American language. And what happened with this is there's two words that are fused together. Ebony plus phonics gives us Ebonics. And so I actually prefer the term Ebonics because it gives attribution to African Americans who constructed that term. There was a lot of negativity, a lot of people don't understand surrounding this particular language, and I'm intentionally calling it a language. And so there were these ideas that it was debilitating, it was ignorant, and things like, in speakers, if the particular speech pattern is identified as ignorant and debilitating, then what does that say about the speakers? And so there are these African American scholars who were attending a conference, and they brainstorm amongst themselves, and they looked for a different moniker. We can say they looked for a different term, and they decided upon the term Ebonics. Now, if you want to know more about it, Ebonics is actually a way of speaking by people typically of African descent or those that are immersed in African American culture, that there is a linguistic structure to this particular way of speaking. There are traditions and culture that are tied into this particular way of speaking. It is not haphazard, it is not ignorant, it is not debilitating. It is a different linguistic system that represents a way of living and a way of being for a group of people.
I don't think slang should be used in a professional setting, just any kind of slang. So I wouldn't.
I don't think so, because I think when you're trying to be professional, you should articulate your words and be as formal as possible.
No.
I guess it depends on the setting, like if you're close to your coworkers or your boss or whatever, you could maybe.
I would not use it in a professional setting just because I feel like there's a time and a place to use Ebonics, and I'm not black, so I feel like I would be culturally appropriating it.
For myself, I wouldn't use Ebonics in a professional setting, like a job interview or some sort. They'll feel like you're unintelligent, or just a minority, or just not smart, just because of the language that you're using.
Yes, I would. I think times are changing, and I think people have been educated differently, and that I hope in our culture and in this society that we can be accepting of different ways of speaking. And so if there is a speaker of French, of German, of Russian, and the various languages, and that person's linguistic system is accepted in a professional setting, I think once people recognize the legitimacy and the validity of Ebonics, that absolutely we may use it in a professional setting.
Again, it depends on the setting. Like, people maybe more of our generation don't, because our pop culture has so much to do with Ebonics.
I think so.
I feel like there is a discrimination against Ebonics. I haven't experienced it myself, but I would imagine there to be, because it's different from what we hear every day, and usually people don't take differences easily.
I mean, I haven't really seen any that there's nothing that I can think of that would be specific discrimination against people who use that kind of like slang particularly, but I mean, to me, no, but I'm sure it's out there.
I feel like there's a discrimination with Ebonics because other people may feel like you're a minority if you use slang, Ebonics, in any type of way, just by hearing it, like because they're not used to the language that you're interpreting, so they will feel like you're a minority or unintelligent just from the things that you say.
Unfortunately, there still is in our country, so I don't want to go into history, but in the 1990s, there is this fervor in our country in terms of Ebonics. In Oakland, California, and the school district there was making decisions about its students and wanted to make sure that its students were well-rounded and were not denigrated based on the way that they spoke. And so there are different sorts of steps that they took. And a lot of commentary online, not actually online, it's through television programs, through interviews. People really did not understand the linguistic system and said a number of horrific things about Ebonics. We can look at the Ann Arbor decision right here in Michigan, and again, the negative rap that Ebonics took and received during that particular time period hasn't stopped presently.
I think, first of all, we need to make people more aware of what it is because a lot of people don't know.
I think that there is a lot to learn in terms of acknowledging and accepting different ways of speaking. So I hope that in this country we can become not a one language only society, but our society can begin to embrace and understand different languages. And that because somebody speaks a different language doesn't mean that that person is my enemy or that that person is bad or that person is uneducated. Language is identity. And let's accept the different identities in this country.